Hi everyone, and welcome to today's vlog. You're in the company of Dennis Hall, LLG's Bulletin Editor, and Helen Bennett, LLG's Executive Director of Policy and Governance. Helen, good to see you once again.
Good to see you, Dennis. Thank you.
Well, our topic today is artificial intelligence, and we look at some of the latest commentaries on this. According to one Law Society luminary, lawyers need to avoid being so seduced, his word, so seduced by what artificial intelligence can do, that they don't appreciate what it cannot do. So said this professional negligence specialist who gave this warning last week. Some of you may already be wondering how much marketing hype is around the development of AI products for lawyers. What are counsels doing? What are counsel legal departments buying into and why? These are some of the questions we're going to touch on today. Helen.
Yeah, well, I think AI is quite an exciting area, and I don't think people should be as concerned about it as some are. But what I will say is, whilst it's very promising, I don't think lawyers should get ahead of themselves in relation to the
Yeah.
capability. And the Law Gazette report was saying that its findings basically summarized that tools should not be used for English law legal advice without human supervision because
Yes.
um, it's really great for summarizing relatively well-known areas of law, but the ability to apply the law to the facts or interpret clauses is less good, Dennis.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this came to my attention, Helen, because of an item that I've featured. Well, it's in Bulletin 11. The luminary of who I speak is this Felix Zimmerman, who told the Law Society Risk and Compliance Annual Conference in London that the danger is that you can get too bewitched by what it can do and delegate to the machine tasks that aren't appropriate. I think this is his main point. And he
Yeah.
went on, it's important to bear in mind that it's just a large language model. I'll take his word for that. It's just a text predictor. It doesn't really understand the way in which humans understand things. And Mr. Zimmerman, who was a partner with city firm Simmons and Simmons, uh, he's defended many solicitors and explained how brilliant AI was at summarizing documents, and perhaps that's its main value. But what are the possibilities, Helen? That's what we've got to look at. It's just as important. What are the limitations, Helen?
Well, possibilities first, limitations. I mean, I think he was saying, it was quite interesting. He said the very famous case of Donahue and Stevenson in the legal world,
Yeah,
in relation to that was a nervous shock case actually.
yeah,
And for anyone who studied at the College of Law back in the day, there used to be a pub on Store Street called well, it had a picture of the ginger beer and the snail, but I've
yeah,
digressed. I don't know if it's still there, but it asked it to. He's the example that he used it to create a 5 sentence summary in the style of Shakespeare on the judgment of Donahue
yeah,
and Stevenson, and he said it was brilliant. He said it was truly astonishing. And I think
yeah,
it used rhyming couplets and everything, which and the summary suggested that the machine totally understood the key points of the case. So that's a really important helpful kind of example. But in terms of the limitations, I think there's an awful lot out there about the danger in relation to
yeah, yeah.
um, actual assessment and analysis.
Yeah. Funny you should mention rhyming couplets. I use them all the time here in the northeast of England. My legal advice was known for it. But anyway, more on that later. You mentioned the report that we've discussed previously, and it was in Bulletin 8. This was the report from Golden Circle firm Linklaters, and they said AI tools could be reaching the stage where they could be used as a cross-check, a useful cross-check for
Yeah,
lawyers working on a legal issue, and that was one of the main uh, conclusions in their report. Testing by Magic Circle firm Linklaters found marked improvements in how these large language models, LLMs, LLM machines as they're known, were able to answer questions about different areas of legal practice. But they said the responses were still not always right and lacked what they described as nuance, despite advances having been made. And the firm's report on its findings said AI tools should not be used for English law legal advice without expert human supervision. So if any of our members, like other lawyers, are wondering whether AI is going to lead to less recruitment or fewer numbers of lawyers, not at all. I think the picture that's emerging is that the role of lawyers will change, but they will still be needed and probably in the same numbers as we have now, Helen.
I think that's absolutely right, and I've quoted it before that I was at a ADSO conference and Soccer Team were talking, and they were saying that you don't need to be worried about losing your job and being replaced by AI. You need to be worried about being replaced by someone who understands and can use AI. And there's an interesting, just to sort of re-emphasize the restrictions on AI. There's an article and it features in the bulletin again, Dennis. It's in the
Yeah.
local government lawyer. It's by a fan. Land Connolly, who looks at
Yes,
how
I saw
local
that.
authority, legal teams can harness AI power to improve efficiency in commercial and corporate matters. And I think it's a he actually, I'm not sure, re-emphasized the language-based automation tool of generative AI, and that it cannot really understand the context and meanings of words at the moment.
Yeah.
And why they can produce plausible strings of text, they say, on the basis of processing a large quantity of data. There's just no guarantee that the outputs are correct,
Yeah.
and that errors or problematic results may come from both the underlying data set and, of course, the algorithm of the systems, because it's
Yes.
a human that does the algorithms, right?
Yes.
And therein, then you get all your concerns around bias, algorithmic design, potential impact on marginalized groups, and we've seen that actually, haven't we, in facial recognition systems,
Yes.
which
There've
have
been
been,
similar things.
yeah.
And back to those LLM machines, the most advanced ones. Well, Linklaters, they said the last benchmarking exercise that they did in October 2023 had revealed major flaws in some of the models tested, with some of them actually giving the wrong answers and some fictional citations. But others I know from things that we've discussed have been very good on research and so forth. But Linklater said it would change its methodology after feedback to offer more sophisticated prompting engineering. Now, for those members who are a bit more nerdy than we are, let's talk about some of the software systems that were covered in the Linklater's report. In the latest testing, and I have to stress I don't know a great deal about these, but they said in the latest testing, both Gemini 2 and OpenAI scored at least 6 out of 10 in their test and showed material increases in the scores for substance and the accuracy of citations. GPT-4 scored just 3.2 out of 10, recording just 1 out of 5 for the substance of its answers. But I think we're coming back to the essential point that you've mentioned, that with supervision, with adequate and appropriate supervision, using these software mechanisms can be beneficial, but lawyers will be needed. We keep coming back to that point, don't we? And one of the things that when I researched for this vlog, Helen, I discovered the LLG documentation on AI, and I had actually forgotten that this existed. Do you want to comment on what that involves and why it might be useful for
Well,
members?
this was a piece of work that was put together by Daria
Uh-huh.
some time back, and I have to admit I'd
Yeah.
forgotten about it as well,
Yeah, and
because
it's fabulous.
yeah, and it's basically a practical guide AI in like government. It's available on our website within the resources hub, and it looks at some practical examples where AI has been deployed. So Westminster City Council has used it to tackle fly tipping. Cheshire West and Cheshire Council automated most of its common services, and obviously conveyancing saw a lot of use of AI in respect to the local government legal world. But it's about how to set your objectives to find a suitable AI solution and how to
Mm.
make sure you do your research. And then it looks at, integration and compatibility, data compliance and security, because that is a huge issue. So I should
Yes.
imagine in local government, employees that are not just legal, they're probably more familiar with ChatGPT and potentially now Microsoft
Mm.
Copilot. Well, if you're putting sensitive data into ChatGPT
Yeah.
and you're naming names and scenarios, that is potentially then able to be provided to someone else and disclosed in a way you haven't foreseen. And then it's out there, and you're breaching all kinds of GDPR. So,
Yeah.
but that guidance, just to say, provides a lot of examples of AM systems providers, because like you, I know absolutely nothing about it.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
everything from Luminance to Kira Systems, Leviton. Obviously, DocuSign is a form of AI,
Yeah.
it can be used.
Yes.
But so this is quite a techie document, which might be useful for lawyers who, like me, know
Yeah.
absolutely
Well,
nothing about AI in that sense.
but I certainly think it would be a useful starting point for our members and one that I would commend them to take a look at. But I suppose we come back to the question, where are we now with AI in local government? I think it's being used to help extract and analyze historical data, examine documents, to examine market trends if necessary, to make forecasts, for specifications in new documents. It can also help with the standardization of documentation, generating first drafts with the appropriate customization. An AI-powered workflow and contract management system I've heard is being used to help automate the approval and authorization process in various projects. So there are a range of things. But like you've said there, one point we mustn't forget, software and machinery is never at fault. It's the individuals who use it who will be found at fault if there are problems with data usage or misusage, and all the other things that you can contemplate might give rise to liability for the local authority. But I think I'd like to round off in this with a question to our members. What are you doing in terms of AI? What are you bringing into the legal department? What are you planning to do? One of the things that occurs to me, we're at a time when it's a complex time for local government, but we are at a point where some very large super unitary authorities are going to be
Right.
created, probably by the end of this year or early 2026. They will have huge buying power, and also their mindset will be, I'm sure, on achieving productivity wherever they can. And they will be bound to ask where AI can assist them in that. I would like to know from local authorities, ask them to get in touch with us to let us know what they're doing in this important area.
Yeah, I think that's an area we need to explore a lot more. But you, excuse me, but you just did make me think that people being concerned about AI taking over their jobs, it's just, I think it's going to be able to streamline work provision. You can create
Mm.
strategies, um, timelines, processes. We're all I hear from members is about how busy and overworked and how they
Yes,
can't cope. So if this is going to help them um, be more productive and do things faster, it can only be great for the sector. But we mustn't forget our professional conduct rules in relation to
okay.
the fact that if we're providing advice, it's no good saying AI got that wrong.
Exactly.
But perhaps if I leave us with this, I typed into Copilot actually
Yeah.
how it felt about itself and whether or not how that would affect humans in terms of their skills and in terms of workforce. And I'll just tell you what it said. It said
Yeah.
that the key perhaps lies in finding a balance by pairing the benefits of AI and technology with a commitment to preserving foundational human skills. Society can shape a future that enhances creativity and connection rather than replacing it.
Well, I think it's pretty good advice. I think AI can have the final word on that, Helen.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been great chatting to you today, Dennis.
And you.
All the best.
All the best now. Thank you. Bye.